All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us once again for the Faces of Business, sponsored by Exit Your Way. Today with me, I've got Charles Walker. Thanks, Charles, for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, man. Thank you for having me.
Well, Charles, it's really a pleasure, man. We've been connected quite a while on LinkedIn, and I've just love the stuff that you do and the way you're helping vets and your business stuff you're doing too. So hope we can talk a little bit about that and kind of go down that road with you today.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's why we're here. That's why we're
Yeah.
here.
So let's back up a little bit, Charles. Tell us a little bit about your military experience. You were in the Army for a bit, and
Oh, yeah.
let's hear a little bit about that.
Well, actually, I joined the Army in '84. Started off in the logistics field there at Fort Lee, Virginia,
Yep.
as a 76. Back then it was a 76 Charlie, logistics supply. And while we was there, the Ranger Battalion came out and said they need more logistic people than special operations, command, and I raised my hand. I was like, oh, I want to go do all this stuff. They're not knowing. And they selected us. And when my first unit was actually 37th Ranger Battalion uh, in Special Ops. They sent me from there to Fort Benning, Georgia. And then, attended airborne school. Then they sent us to, after that, airborne air assault school. And I started down the Ranger Battalion for about a good 6 months before they said Special Operation Aviation 160 Night Stalkers. They needed logistic people for the worldwide mission, and they selected me to move out to Fort Campbell, Kentucky, with the Night Stalkers 160 Task Force. Uh, and I stayed there until I made like E6, man. It's one of the best units I was in, 160 Task Force. And I did like Pathfinder School and all the good schools that a logistic guy needed to support special operations community. And then I went from there to like all special operations unit, 10th group, 96 civil affairs, went over to Stuttgart to 10th Special Forces Group as the logistic senior non-commissioned officer. And then they sent me back to Fort Bragg. I spent a lot of time at Fort Bragg. They sent me back there to SOSCOM, which was the Special Operations Support Command. Well, we supported the 112th Signal Battalion along with 528 Support Battalion. We supported all the Special Forces Group, 3rd Group, 7th Group, all the groups there. And right before retirement, I went to SWIC, which is the Special Warfare Training Group, 2nd Battalion there. I was in charge of the Halo schools and all the diving schools, SEER course in 2nd Battalion there, man. I ended up retiring out there in 2005 out of Fort Bragg. And ended up, after that, I just started working with different organizations like Raytheon, SAIC, some of the big major corporations in senior logistic roles.
Yeah.
And then I just started moving around, going back overseas to Afghanistan, Iraq, and working, putting in the MRAP vehicles in Iraq and working with the Warfighter Focus Program in Afghanistan and just doing a lot of things with the military. That's all I really ever enjoyed doing, supporting military operations. And then I work with, now I work with a company called Aroura Global Solutions, where we provide service and equipment, supplies to government agencies, whereby we can hire more veterans and put them back to work. Because a lot of veterans just out of work, man. They have to stay busy. They need something to do, man. And even when they retire, they still used to being in charge of something. And we want to hire more veterans to get them back to work, so they won't just sit at home and have nothing to do and just be thinking about, all the stuff they used to do and be in charge of, and just support them in that way, man. So it all ties in together with me, what I do, and mainly it's related to helping veterans, even with their resumes, or send them to somebody that can get it done, just to make sure they stay on their feet, man.
Yeah. Well, it is something, and like you said, and we've had several people on our different events talking about military, the tough transition it is for the military to civilian, and the bias that there is towards military people coming into the civilian workforce. And we had one it was last summer sometime that we talked about that in one of ours, and we covered those specific things where people think that they just got these bias and different opinions about how someone from the military is going to act in their business. But what they tend to forget is the benefits that they're going to bring. I mean, when you hire someone from the military, you got somebody that's probably going to have a good sense of mission. They're going to
Exactly.
understand what you need to do, and they're going to be able to stand alongside somebody else and do what they need to do, their role. They know how to play a role in the team and get something done. And that's something I think is very valuable in business,
Absolutely.
and many overlook it. That's all
Yeah,
I'm gonna
because
say.
and they missed the main point too. These guys have done it. These guys and gals, they have done it in austere environments. They have done it in
Yeah,
tough environments where it was like you got to be thinking, on your toes every day.
yeah,
And they still was able to lead and get the mission done. They're mission focused.
yeah,
And one thing I found was a big transition for me when I got out was in the military, you are taught to take responsibility for your own actions and those of your team. Admit your responsibility for it. If you're in charge, you're in charge. In
yes,
civilian sector, I start seeing a lot of the blame around the table, like, no, it's his fault or whatever. I'm like, and it was a hard transition for me because I'm like, no, it's a team effort. Like we all fail either way.
yeah,
So we don't blame. So that was the biggest transition for me in the civilian sector, where it was easy for people to take to pass the blame instead of take responsibility for the whole team.
yes,
In the military, we're not taught to do that. We're
no,
taught to take responsibility for our own actions.
yeah, yeah. That is a good point, and
Yeah.
and that is one of the things we talked about is that it's we all win or we all lose together.
Right, right, right. And that's
And
with anything.
yeah, yeah. So what are some of the challenges you see now at the veterans transitioning out of the service, or you see veterans in general? Is it that to try to get back into the workforce, or what are some of the things? Because I know you help a lot of veterans, and
Oh
I
yeah.
just what are some of the kind of things that you're helping people with now, that so the people that are listening now can kind of understand more about it, and maybe if they have an opportunity to help somehow, they can do that.
Yeah, I think what we're doing now, we're looking at more of the mindset that's needed. Like a lot of the military mindset is just like, you see the hill, you take the hill. But in the civilian sector, I think it's more of a mindset where some of the things in the military, you just gotta put them in your rucksack for a moment and realize what your new team is looking like, and then what you're trying to support. Because every organization got an organizational structure. They got a mission and a vision statement. So you want to try to understand that mission and vision statement and see how what you already know as your leadership skills, how you can support that and pass it on to the leadership and show them how you can support where they're trying to go. Like
Yeah.
I tell them all to try to find out the mission and the vision statement of the organization before you even try to apply for the job. See what they do. Find out what they're trying to do and what their mission is. And then how what you already know or learned in the military can complement that and support it. And then add that to your resume, whereby they'll know that you already been looking at their organization and you're trying to put your skill set and fit it in with what they're already doing.
That's
And
that's
so
a that's
we
a
help them.
really good point. That's a
Yeah,
really good point because you're helping them get a. There's not many people that'll do that. First of all,
right,
will take
right.
the time, and B, when you talk in a language and in two things that they know and work in the workspace already, it's going to help you potentially get that opportunity.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
And also, you want to try to say, hey, you want to try to treat their organization like it's your own. If it was yours, what would you be doing to make it, get to the next level? And then
yeah,
you actually do that in a cooperative way, man. And there's three words that I always tell people. And I've been pushing this to people all the time. When the guy talk to the veterans, look, man, you go in now with the collaboration, you collaborate with people, you communicate, and then you cooperate, because actually you're coming into a new organization. You want to listen to what they're doing, and then if you listen to what they're doing, you'll be able to identify where the needs are, where you need to help at. But you got to listen and cooperate and collaborate with them first. So that's
yeah,
the only way that's where they open up with you, and then they build that rapport with you. Then they're going to open up. Say we find that this is a challenge, this is the bottleneck, and then you work on those bottlenecks, you become valuable. Because
Yeah.
only when you become valuable to somebody, they want to keep you around or they want to pay you for that.
Yeah.
Once you show your value, because otherwise you're just a regular employee that's being hired to fill a slot. Okay, but if you start bringing in value, the organization is going to notice you, and they're going to notice that you're adding value to what they're trying to do in a cooperative way. You're collaborating and you're communicating your efforts, and then you're going to make sure that you can sort of monitor what processes you're putting in place. Because there's
Hmm.
no need to fix something that there's but there's somebody said there's no reason to do work that's not needed to be done. Why
Yeah.
do something that's not needed? You know what I'm saying? Nobody will notice it. So
Yeah.
you find out what the bottlenecks are and then work around those bottlenecks and relieve those bottlenecks for organization, and they'll know your value. So
That's
we
very
keep,
true.
yeah.
And bring up a good point too, because someone new coming into an organization can oftentimes see a lot of, well, why do you do that?
Right.
And it's like, well, why do you do that? Oh, okay, that's good. But maybe one out of three times, it's like, I don't know. Well, what if we did it this way,
Right.
collaborate like you're saying and make it better? That's very valuable because
That's
that,
very valuable, man, because you're waiting, you're observing, you want to get an observation at least 30 days. The military teach you that. You take over as a first or any command position, you want to wait 30 days to do your assessments to see what's going on. And it's like, okay, I can see how that could be better because you've done it already. And you know
yeah,
the result of it, So, and then sometimes people are not open to tell you all the problems they have when you first get to a job because you're new. So they saying, okay, I'm not going to open up to this guy yet till I get to know him and see that he's adding value to what I'm doing and not working against it. Because you just can't see what's wrong in one look and no true facts. You can probably see something that's moving wrong, and you're just like, okay, that looks wrong, but you don't know why they're doing what they're doing. So you want to do an assessment first, and then before you start making recommendations. But you need to have your recommendation worked out, from the end, and then work backwards, plan it so you can have a full understanding of what you're trying to do and accomplish and communicate it. It's not if you're doing the job yourself and nobody notices it and you're just doing it in a vacuum. You want to open up the whole supply chain, which I tell people, let everybody know what everybody's doing because it's a team. Now,
yeah,
if you're working by yourself, you're trying to be the best guy in there, then that's harder. But if you're really working for a team, and because you're already a leader, you don't need to prove it. You don't need a medal no more. You got all the medals, man.
yeah,
You just want to build a good team and then reach the goals of the organization. So you want to
yeah,
come in like that, yeah.
yeah.
It
That's
works.
good. That's
Mm-hmm.
good. Yeah, I can tell you're a logistics guy.
Yeah, yeah.
You're working that through, and that's cool. That's
I
cool.
love it, man.
Yeah.
I like,
So
like I tell people when I order something from Amazon, man, I look on the internet and I order it. When that guy knock on my door, I want it to be exactly how I imagined it on the online. You want to send me something that don't look like what I thought it was. And
yeah,
so I put myself in that position. And so when I'm on the job, I make sure that I box it right. I want to feel it. They got to feel the way I want to feel. I take it personal. And
yeah,
so it's always been like that with logistics and special ops. That's why them guys always tell me, man, we want him to go with us, man, because he's serious. I was like, yeah, I like it, man. I like
yeah,
ordering from and seeing how people face light up when they got what they actually paid for.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you probably, and we'll talk about this a little bit, but when you're doing logistics in what you were doing, you
Mhm.
were probably delivering food, medical supplies, and everything
Yeah.
for these people that are going out there. And if you screw up and leave the food behind, you got some
Right.
angry folks coming back at you.
Right. And that's what I learned in the military. I had a first sergeant told me one day, he said, let me tell you something, young man. The one thing you don't screw up in the military in your logistic field, you don't have my chow late, you don't have my coffee cold, and all my guys must eat every day. You hear me? And I learned that. He said that's the most important thing. If you do that well, you're going to be a good logistic guy. And I
Yeah,
always had food there early. I made sure it was hot, and I made sure the coffee was hot when they like, man, here he come, he gonna be on time. And I do everything that way in logistic because it's that important to people, man. It's that
yeah,
important. Yeah.
yeah. It is. It is. Well, and that kind of leads me to another question. So, I know some of the stuff you can't necessarily talk about, but what are some of the logistics challenges that you had to overcome when you were in the military that are kind of unique that you go, wow, this was something that sticks out in my head, and I had to, have something halfway across the world, and I didn't know how we were quite going to do that.
Right. The only thing I was blessed because I was in special operations. So we had the leverage to do things that the conventional army couldn't do. We had what was called operational funds. It was op funds money that we can go out and get anything the special forces teams needed. All I had to do was justify it, right?
Yeah.
So when I learned how from a great non-commissioned officer, he taught me, Charles, justification of something is how well you write. Okay, you're
Yeah.
convincing the general or whoever to understand your point of view. He said, once you write it right, you can get anything you want. And once he taught me that, it's all in how you present what the teams need. And so I started putting everything those guys needed associated with their mission and their life with them coming back home. I always trust the companies of the generals say, hey, sir, I want these guys to make it back home. So
Yeah.
this is what they say they need, and this is why they need it. And if I can get that to them that way, and I always trust their social consciousness of how they thought and the red tape part. So I got around that red tape easily. So when I did work with the conventional army, it was easier for me because I was blessed as a private all the way to a senior leader to work around the red tape. And I think a lot of things is red tape, even with the logistics that's going on now, with getting the PPE to the VA hospital that we have to order. We have to wait. We have to get the right certificate certifications. So what I do now is I have all that paperwork ready before they ask for it, because I'm used to it. So I know that it's got to have a certain specification for the military to pay for it. It's got to be a certain color. That's what they want. It got to come from a certain vendor sometime. And so I already have all that paperwork ready because if the paperwork passed the test, then they'll order supplies from you. So I learned
Yeah.
in the military. So I just use what I learned in the military, what got me success, and I use that to civilian sector the same way. So I ain't got to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
for sure. Well, that's cool. And I didn't realize until you were saying that and thinking about that. I'm sure,
Mhm.
yes, special operations people, they can get what they need when they need it.
Right, right. We get it. Hey, we gonna get it one way or the other.
Yeah.
Even if it's like you say, you might have a fact, but the way you write it can overrule facts.
Yeah.
Like you might say, well, they're not authorized this, but if I relate it to the mission and them coming back and that senior non I was saying he needed for his team to survive. If I trust the social consciousness of the leader who got to make that decision, he don't want that on his mind. So he's okay. They justified it well. They wrote it well, and I'm justifying it for that. You can order that.
Yeah.
I learned how to do that. My
Yeah.
job was just get it to him.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. Well, so you live in the Atlanta area, correct?
Right in Georgia, right
Yeah.
outside of Atlanta, a place called McDonough,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Georgia. Yeah.
I used to do a bit of work up north of Atlanta, and it's a pretty area out there. You don't realize once you get out the rolling hills outside of Atlanta, it's really
Oh,
pretty.
yeah. Beautiful, man. It's
Yeah.
just quiet. It's real quiet. A lot, deers and that's the old Nick. Hey, Nick.
Yeah. Nick's here. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of deers out here, man. But it's so quiet and peaceful, man. That's why I like it where I'm at.
Yeah.
The neighbors are nice, and then you can walk your neighborhood. You
Yeah.
don't have to worry about a lot. It's just peaceful, man. At night, you go
That's
outside, it's dark, and you can see the deer in the yard or something, and you can just see different animals, man. Some bugs I never seen in my life. I'm like, wow, what is this? But
oh
it's so
yeah.
peaceful, man. It's just so peaceful.
I
Yeah.
mean, I tell you what, I lived in Tennessee, just outside, in between Nashville and Memphis, for about 7 years, and I grew up in South Dakota, and we had in Tennessee, we had these grasshoppers. People call them like Texas grasshoppers. These things
Right,
were,
right.
a few inches long. They were big old dogs. And then I remember the water moccasins and the cottonmouths. Those are the whatever copperheads or whatever, the two kinds of snakes that I didn't like. I know that.
Yeah, the copperheads.
Yeah, gee,
I don't want to run on none of
yeah,
them.
yeah, but that was the thing that I didn't like about those areas down there. Is if you're just like, you're right, and then the big spiders.
Right. I know
Woo!
about them from Afghanistan and Iraq. Them
Yeah,
sands.
those are like cat-sized spiders.
Oh yeah. They humble you real quick.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, it's an interesting time and now with all the stuff that we got going on, and I think that not that we're going to do anything political here because I don't like getting that at all. I just um I'd like to see the fact that we've we've got people like yourself and some others we talked about before we got on that are thinking about how we can put these military people that are coming back to work, how we can take care of them, the injured people, both
Right.
physically and mentally, because
Right.
they wouldn't be that way if they didn't go to the military, So
Yeah, they earned it, man. I
yeah,
look at it like this. When it comes to any military person I meet, one thing I know, they earn whatever. They paid their cost to
yeah,
this country, man. And I respect them for that because for whatever reason they went in, they experienced some things that they didn't know beforehand, and they still did what they supposed to do. So
yeah,
I appreciate people like that, even when you know you're in a situation, but you made an obligation. You said you raised your hand and say, "I'll do this,"
yep,
and you go ahead and do what you say
you
you're
did
gonna
it.
do. You see, so I respect people like that, man, and I owe them all of my respect and any kind of help I can give them.
Yep,
I'm gonna give it to them. I'm gonna do what I can, man.
yeah,
That's just the way I feel about it, and I'm glad I feel that way because a lot of times they just want somebody to talk to. I meet them all around, man. I meet veterans everywhere, man. They just want somebody to talk to. It might start off with "How you doing?" Where you served at, man. It could be 2 hours later, man. We still talking
yeah,
because we got commonalities that we got more things in common than we have different. It's not like what society think. It's how you treat people and how you approach people, man. Um, you give them respect, they'll give it back to you, man. That's
that's
just the way it
for
is.
sure. That's for
Yeah,
sure. That's
right.
for sure. And I just, it makes me feel good to hear you say that.
Oh yeah.
I think I know there are a lot of people like that. We don't
Oh
hear
yeah. A
enough
lot of people. There's
like
a
you
lot
talking
more.
like that. And that's why I think it makes me feel good to hear you say it because I
Yeah.
know that the vast majority of us are like that. And that's I just love to hear you say it because
Right. Because it's reality. I look at life like this. Okay. I look at my daily life and my travels, people I meet throughout the day, every day when I'm out. Okay. And I assess how was I treated today by those people I met that I never known today? Did they do anything racial to me? Did they treat me like crap or anything like that? No. Okay, so if I look at TV, it'll show you a different picture.
mhm,
Everybody, I go to them the same way they come to me. I get this results that I desire, but I already put in my head what results I want before I go out there. I just don't leave house blindly. I said,
yeah,
what do I want to accomplish today? So I talk to myself. What do I want to accomplish? Who do I want to meet? And then somehow I don't know how this works. I can't explain to people, but I've set up a mindset where I want to win that day and I want to meet great people. And guess what happens? That's what happens. I
yeah,
meet people and I win that day. And then I come back and do the assessment. I said, wow, if I use my own mind, my own thinking, and the things I already know in my life, things will work out. But if
yeah,
I just walk out here blindly, I could walk into anything. But I went with a purpose and I try to wake up with a purpose. And I just try to teach that to people like use your own mind. And then don't go by what other people say all the time. Do your own study and do your research. Better your own self, and then the right people will be attracted to you. It's just
yeah,
simple, man. But you have to get in that mindset first. Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
I'm just laughing. I'm laughing to myself because I'm 100%, man. It is
Right.
so much about if you go out and it's as simple as this. I've seen people that are afraid of dogs, right?
Right.
Afraid of dogs. Any dog, they're afraid of dogs. They're
Yeah.
always afraid of dogs going to chase them, bite them, whatever. And and what do? Every time they see a dog, they think that dog chased me or was going to bite me or did bite me. And
Right.
I have never been bit by the meanest dogs that people say because I come up to them and I say, they're nice. There's
That's
just no
it.
other way around it. I don't care if it's the ugliest looking, meanest looking thing.
Right.
You treat it right, it's going to be fine. And I don't know, like you said, how that works with people in life and everything, but it does.
It works that way, man, for real. Because it's you get what you expect, man. And but if you set it up in your mind that, hey, everybody's bad, man. Everybody I meet, they this way, that's the way. And then so you on the defense, you expecting that. But
Yeah,
if you look at that, the average person is basically good and we have more things in common, they're not. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wants to get home and feed their family. They want to sure their family's safe.
Yep.
Everybody really want their family to strive. They want their kids to be successful, more successful than they were. We all want those things. So let's talk about those things then. Let's talk about those things that are good, pleasant, and wholesome. Why are we
Yeah.
gonna talk about the bad stuff for?
Yes.
Bad stuff get its own media attention.
Yeah.
Talk
Yeah.
about good stuff, man. That's
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
You know, and
I,
that's
I'm with
not
you there.
anything. A lot of people say that's delusional. No, it's not. It's common sense, man.
It
And like I
is.
tell people, common sense is the new PhD.
Yeah.
Yep.
That
If you
is.
got common sense in today's society, that's the PhD.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. It is. It is because when you boil it back into we just as you said, we all want to make some money. We want
Yeah.
our kids to do well. We want good things to happen to everyone around us. Listen,
Right.
if we start there, the common ground gets us to common goals, gets us to a much better place.
There you
And
go.
and
There
it
you go.
just uh
That's it.
and like when we talked about, attracting the good in life, it is your attitude. It is your attitude when you get your butt out of bed. If you think it's going to be a bad day, it will certainly be a bad day.
You just created it. You created it.
Yeah.
Positive, like what Jim Rohn, all the great Andrew Carnegie, PMA, man, positive mental attitude. It starts when you first wake up and give thanks, man. The Lord, thank you. You woke me up. Now rest is up to me, the attitude that I choose to take today. It is all about the positive mental attitude. And people's like, oh, that's not true. Yeah, it's true, man. Because
It is.
you can drop some on the floor that morning. It's like, oh man, messed up my shoes. And you get in the car and you're like, oh, everything. That guy's going too slow. I'm going this way. Just calm down, man. Chill. And then just say, hey, everything that's happening to me right now is my attitude about it.
Yes.
It's how emotionally I take it. It's my attitude about it. You almost hit my car. Opposite word is I almost hit your car.
Almost.
I almost, brother. You say, we're good to go. Have a good day, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
It ain't worth road rage though, brother. I almost hit your car. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Have a good day, man. We straight.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. You got a good one because road rage is something that, well,
It's
not so much
serious,
now.
man.
When people get so worked up about it, it's like I understand if somebody's doing something and somebody creates an accident doing all that. And even at that, if they weren't doing something stupid and it was an accident, it's like, well, I'll give you a good example. I
Yep.
got rear-ended a number of years ago on my motorcycle by a truck at a
Wow.
stoplight, and it totaled my motorcycle and it hurt me pretty bad. And I got back up and I wasn't hurt bad enough that I wasn't really mad. I
Right.
was really mad, and I was going to let the driver know and know on certain terms. And I saw that guy's face, and he was concerned. It went all the way.
That's right. That's right. Because you saw his attitude about it. But if he'd have took the same attitude you
Yep.
had, that's
Yep.
when the calamity is. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Somebody have to be the higher mental phase of it, have to be the higher mental thought to calm things down, man. And it
Yeah.
happens in relationships too. It happens in
Yeah.
all relationship, business, everything we do, because things don't always go right as you planned it. But I think you have to start off with a plan at first. Start off with a plan.
Yeah.
If something go wrong on the plan, you can always make adjustments along the way. But if you start off and just jump into something, there's no plan.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's going to be more chaotic for you. You can still maneuver, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult than if you had a plan.
Yes.
That's what I tell people: just have a plan and a goal. That's your starting point, and then you can go from there. And I was sitting down last night. I was writing down some things, man. I was saying that, we was talking to some guys on the phone conference about goals. I say, look, man, now minus someday, plus action equal progress. He said, what do you say? I said, now minus someday plus action equal progress. Because right, some people say, oh, I'm gonna get it done someday. I'm gonna do that. I say, no, but if you do it now and subtract someday and then take action, you're gonna have progress. But if you go now and then deliberate definition of purpose plus actions, that's success. That equals success, yeah. Because now you definitely on what you're trying to do. You're doing it now. You're taking action steps every day. then you're gonna be successful, because success is whatever you choose to do, do for yourself, and you're using your own mind to get there. So if you take a few action steps that day, that's success for you that day,
Yeah.
because you didn't sit on your butt and say, I want to do this. You actually took some action steps, and it can be small steps, man. You can say, hey, I'm going to call this guy about this contract is out there. I'm going to give him a call and make sure that he did. But if you don't ever call him that day, you didn't take no action steps. You thought about it. You got to call him. And if he even don't pick up right now, I did call him on this time, whatever, then you continue to do so. You reward yourself for that, because you did what you say you're going to do. But if you procrastinate, man, it ain't going to happen. I've done it times, man. And so I'm trying to teach people, and even myself, as I grow, because you help enough people to get to where they need to be, then you're going to be where you need to be, according to Jim Rohn. And that's true, because I try to help whoever I can when I can, on what I already know. And then they're going to tell somebody else, hey, man, this guy Charles, man, he told me this, this, and that. And your name going to get spreaded. And then now you already becoming, you don't even know who you becoming. And a lot of people say, I became this. I don't know how I got there. No, because you just helped a lot of people, man.
Yeah.
And then that exponentially multiplied to other people, and they found out about you. That's all. And then the right people was attracted to you. You didn't have to go looking.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. I and you bring up Jim Rohn, and I actually just discovered him a couple months ago. And you guys just literally changed my life when you start thinking about the way that he looks at things, and some of his things. But when he talks about that, your personal development and where you are at personally is what you attract. So if you want to go somewhere, your mind and your development has to be there first, and then everything will catch up to you.
That's it, man. That's
most
true.
people think it's the other way around. They think that they push, they'll get there, but they won't. You have to get yourself there first.
You have to get there first, man. You got to get there first, man. In your visualization, you get there first. And also, man, you just gotta, it's your responsibility to do that. It's not nobody else's responsibility. It's an inside job. And it's like, hey, you can think about it all day. Somebody can motivate. Motivation is external, man. I'm like, you got to get up. You got to have it on your mind yourself. And then even if you lose all your friends, man, like along your journey, it's going to be some people in your life for a period of time that you love, right? Think about all the people in your past that's no longer in your life.
Yeah.
You thought they were going to kill you because you're not with them anymore. No, that was their time in your life, that phase. And as you grow mentally toward what you want, you're going to lose. You're going to meet new people. You and I are talking now just from LinkedIn, man. Yeah. And so 5 years ago, we wouldn't have known that. It's just our mindset and growth that you saw where you're going to be. You just got to have faith and walk into it. It's happening. No matter what you lost, you never attached to anything that left you, man. Nothing in your success is going to be attached to anything that ever leaves you. So that's what people don't understand. Oh, my buddy, he left me, man. We were going to do this and that. Man, your success is not attached to what leaves. It's attached to what's coming to you, man. And I learned that, man. I just been going ever since. I just keep going no matter what.
That's great. Nothing. You said nothing to your success leaves you. I gotta write that down. I'm gonna think about that, because that's powerful, man. What you just said.
Right. Anything that leaves you is not attached to your success. Everything that's attached to your success is coming to you, automatically. And you just got to walk into it. Don't focus so much on what you lost. Focus on what you finna gain from your mindset, and the self-development where you're studying every day. And that's relentless study where you gotta actually be a purpose about it and be definite and have faith in what you're trying to do. And then the right people. I only know how. Sometimes people link in with me. I'm like, oh, this guy, the CEO of this company, how did he want to meet me or whatever? And then I'm like, okay, now I understand how. Because of how you putting yourself, you're growing so much that those people are attracted to what you're saying and doing. And see, they're on the same wavelength. They're on the same wavelength that you're on. So some people might not identify on that wavelength. That's cool. Accept that too. It's okay. But the ones that's on that wavelength, that right person, you're gonna meet you one person away from being where you're supposed to be. It's one person, man. Not you might not people like, oh, I got 40,000 followers. I be saying to myself, wow, they don't need but one. They don't need but one. It's just one person at 40,000 that's going to push them to where they need to be, man. And that time is coming, even through all the chaos. And we're still here through all the chaos that went on. A lot of people actually lost their life in 2020, man. Some of them lost it because of COVID or whatever, and that wasn't their fault. It's just, a pandemic.
Yeah.
Some people lost it doing foolish things. Some people got so caught up in their own selfish things and they started doing reckless things.
Yeah.
And then some people sat at home and they studied to become a better person. That's what I did.
Yeah.
And so when people say, "Oh, you made it, man. How did you do it?" Dude, it was hard work, man. It was self-discipline. Me reading all kind of books, me studying every night. Nobody's watching me. 2 and 3 in the morning, I'm up studying and reading the right books, man. I'm buying the right books, and I'm actually bettering myself. So it's not overnight success. People think it is, but I studied every night. I studied every night, man.
Yeah.
Put my effort in, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it is something when you see others look at success and they go, "Oh, they're good," and they're they don't look at all that work that they put in behind the scenes for years before that success had come to them. And like you said, it's because they studied and got better and studied and got better, and the success came to them, and now that's what people see.
That's what they see. They see the end result. It's like Oprah Winfrey said, everybody want to ride in a limousine, but nobody want to push when they run out of gas. Like, hey, man, it's like, hey, yeah, he in a limousine. That's right. Now it ran out of gas. Hey, man, who going to push? You see? And so what it is just you got to look at getting with the right people, and then making your group of people on the same wavelength that you on, man. Just like Napoleon Hill talked about, creating that mastermind group around you in your imagination first. And then once you create that mastermind group, they're gonna appear, man. They're gonna appear in that position at the table that you're sitting around, and you can say, "Hey, I want this guy at my table, this guy at my table," and then we're gonna collaborate, we're gonna communicate, and we're gonna cooperate with each other, and we all gonna make it. Once you in there, man.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. I was writing it down. When you create a mastermind group around your imagination.
Around your imagination, man.
That is incredible. Those great words, man. And wow, that's good. That's good. Yeah. I think like you said, so many people looked at 2020 as, "Oh, I can't go to the store, I can't go on vacation," or whatever the heck it was, right? And I look back at the year and I recognize that there are a lot of people, like you said, that medically they got, COVID was a bad thing. I look at myself and it gave me hours and hours and hours of time that I would have never had in my life to work on myself.
Exactly.
To be with my family. I've got 2 kids that they're in their 20s.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have seen them 1/10 of what I saw them this year. And that's something that will never come back.
Absolutely, man.
And you look at it like that, it was really good year for me.
It was a good year, man. You studied, you got a chance to spend time with yourself and get to know yourself. Can I really be alone, quarantine? And in the Bible, this ain't the first time quarantine came up. In the biblical days, Jesus told them to quarantine themselves before war. So quarantine is not a new word. It's just a new word to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But when you use it to your benefit and you sit at home and you got to talk, like I got to talk to my daughter and my son in Birmingham, my daughter's here in Atlanta. And then my wife was in Japan, but she's home now. And we got closer through this because we got a chance to actually communicate and see what's going on with each other. And other time we just running and working, everybody going their own way. So now you got opportunity with things slow down where you can build something on a foundation on a solid rock, and then it's solid. Before then it was shaky. You didn't know it was shaky.
Exactly.
Because now you got to see what everybody was thinking. People's like, "Well, I didn't know my son was doing this. I didn't know he was doing that." Now you in the house with him. You know what he's doing.
Yes.
If you're paying attention and you're aware.
Yes.
You studying awareness and you studying showing yourself approved, you're going to see all these things that you were missing. You start seeing things you need to do in your house. It's like, "Oh, man, I ain't never was cracking up there. So I ain't never noticed that." Now I'm at home. I see it. I'm staring. I'm like, wow, some rooms in my house I never went in, man. I'm like, dude, I ain't been in years. You know what I'm saying? So now you paying for the house, but you ain't really living in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I got to live and just do good things, man. And some of the people on LinkedIn, man, they don't know how much they help me by what they post and what they say. I'm paying attention to it. And a lot of people I'll engage with more because I identify with what they're saying more. That's what it be. And then some people I'm starting to identify with more because I can see that their mindset is solid. It's not all over the place. So I'm paying attention to all that. Is your message solid and consistent? Because I know you're studying. I know you're really, really into it. It's not a judgmental thing. It's just I'm learning who I want to associate with on a regular basis where I can grow with. So I'm studying and I'm being more observant of who I spend my time with. Uh, because a lot of times we spend our time with a lot of people and we never know what our goal is. And so now I'm just more strategic and I want to spend some time with that guy right there. Because I look at his post and I see where he's heading. I read his profile and I'm sort of seeing where he headed with his posts. Because his posts are consistent with what he's trying to do or whatever. And then I'm focusing on that kind of stuff on LinkedIn. Now I'm using it to my benefit because it's a benefit platform.
Yeah.
You got some smart people on there, man, that's doing great things. So you probably need to be listening to what they're saying. And then when they put out a book and say, hey, this book said this or that. So I go and I look it up, man. I'm like, oh, let me check this book out and see that I get what he said. And then just put out everything that adds value to people's life. And then you won't have to charge them all this money because they'll be wanting to give you money. Like Jim Rohn said, people are going to want to pay for valuable things.
Yeah.
They want to pay for that.
Yeah.
But if you don't add value, they don't want to pay for it. That's all it is, man. That's
Exactly.
It is.
Exactly. And it's something when you start bringing it around to that perspective is that, we met on LinkedIn and through other people. And when you look at what I've learned over the past couple of years on LinkedIn is there are a lot of people there that are sharing good information,
Valuable stuff.
good philosophical stuff that can really help you to think and learn and grow. And just being part of that. And like you said, I'm just so grateful for some of this. Nick Dorsey, who's on here, he talks about that in his All Things Gratitude podcast.
Right.
There's just so much that you can do if you put the effort in to meet those people and talk to them and learn from them. And they want to share with you, man.
It's a blessing, man. It was me, Nick, and Curtis. We had a conference call in 2020. We met on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And we got a call, man. And it was just the best time, man, sharing information and just what each other does, man. And we just became close like that, man. Sometimes I text them just through my regular calls and even Curtis and just talk to him. And I met him right there, man. And it's just a blessing that you able to do that through technology, man, to get to know somebody like that. And a lot of people that like Michelle Ladd, she with her veteran resource, Mobile, she came down to Atlanta and I met her over at in Stockbridge, Georgia. We met and sat around and talk about veteran suicide and some of the things that we could do to help and assist. And she posted something today, and I went in online and said, hey, here's a number for a veteran. She said was sleeping on the side of the road in Texas. So I called one of the VA buddies I got in Texas and said, hey, man, we got a veteran out there just sleeping in the car. And he said, Charles, what's his name? And I gave him the name she gave, and then he gave me some numbers to tell him to call, and I posted that on LinkedIn. It was just like that.
Yeah.
It's just by her saying that was happening, but my network is strong as well. So I got some special operations that's willing that I service with and I trained with over 20 years, man. So if I say I need something, they're gonna like, Charles, what do you need, man? How can I help? And then if that's not my field, they're gonna I say, I know a guy in Tampa, Florida that's doing this. So I'm gonna introduce you to him and it passed like that. You helping people help people, man.
Yeah.
It's real simple. But you can't sit there and say nobody's helping me. No, you gotta help yourself. You gotta have an idea in your head that you're trying to move forward and be able to present that to people so they'll know how to help. That's all.
Yeah. Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. I love hearing that, how you're using LinkedIn, but B, how you're helping people with it.
Yeah.
It and like you said, it's not hard. It's just a matter of taking that little bit of effort. And that little bit of effort, like anything, I don't care if you want to be a football player, a doctor, a major league baseball player, doesn't matter. everybody has the baseline, but that little bit of extra effort that they put in that no one else does makes people great and makes them special.
That's it,
And
man. Just that little extra effort, man. That little extra mile. You just say, hey, you pay somebody in the morning and say, I was telling my wife this, I went to a dentist yesterday. This lady was so nice to me, and I hate the dentist. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
And he just made me feel so comfortable. So I came back and I called back to the dentist office and I said, hey, I just want to tell Allison. I said, I met her today. Tell her she made my day. You know what that lady said? She said, Mr. Walker, I'm going to tell you. Allison said, you made her day. So I said, well, where can I go online to y'all supervisor job and just post about her? And
yeah,
she said, yeah, go to this dent first. And I put a good message on there for her, man. And she lady said, Charles, you made her day. I said, she actually made my day. So in actuality, we made each other day
exactly.
unknowingly. She told them when I left, that guy made my day. When I got home, I told my wife, that lady made my day. I'm like, wow, see?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's incredible, man.
Right.
And wow, I'm just I am so happy that we took this time and we're able to talk for a few minutes, and man, getting to know you better and just listen to you just your positive message. And I can just tell you're someone that just attracts good things around you. And yeah, I'm so grateful that you came on and talked with us today. And just thank you.
Man, I'm grateful you had me, man. I appreciate it. I was looking forward to it, man. I was just making sure that I had everything in place. I wanted to make sure that I didn't miss it because there was one call I wanted to be on, but the computer system was messed up and he only sent it to me like 5 minutes before. And I was so upset. I was like, man, I need to miss things like this because it's important to me. You know, when I meet somebody on LinkedIn and then I get a chance to just chat it up with them so they can see the realness of the person, you know, because sometimes you can be anybody you want to be behind a computer. You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying? But is that
yeah,
the real person? You know, is that the person that you think you see? And so now
yeah,
I see we always communicate, but now I get to see you. And now I know, man, because this is where technology is taking us. But we're going to have to do a lot of these right now. Till this
yeah.
pandemic thing is over, we got the opportunity, man. I appreciate you more than you appreciate me. Bet you that.
And I appreciate this. I'm just, I'm just, man. I'm so glad that we were able to do this.
Yeah,
And man, it's fun. We'll have to do it again,
yeah,
and
man.
we'll get a bunch of us on sometime too, because that's always fun when we get a group too. But
Yeah.
Charles, thank you so much for being here today. And if people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way to do that?
Well, the best rate, man, we can go to my website is Aroura Global Solution, but it's ags-georgia.com. And we're still working on that website, but also they can reach me on LinkedIn, man, and on Charles Walker, MPA, MBA, and
Yeah.
also at charles.walker357 yahoo.com.
Okay.
So, yeah, and I appreciate linking in, especially with all my veteran brothers and sisters, man. Tell them to reach out if they need help with anything, and we'll definitely support that effort.
All right. That's
And I
awesome,
appreciate
Charles.
you. Yes,
Thank you
sir.
so much for being here today. Have a
Well,
great rest of your evening,
you
and
too.
we'll be back again.
Airborne, man, all the way.
Thank you.
Cool. All right, thanks, man.
You bet. Let's see what we're doing here.